To kick things off, in 2009's Fast and Furious, Dom gets shot and Mia's fixing him up. As she works, she tells him that the bullet isn't the wound. All well and good if it's just a through and through. There would be no bullet if it just passed through him, but there would need to be an exit wound. However, there's no blood trail, no gaping wound where the bullet exited, nothing. Did the bullet vanish into thin air, or is Dom's blood so badass that it can corrode metal on contact? Second, magic cars. Sure, the whole franchise did start out by focusing on badass cars and cool vehicles in general, but we never expected them to be magic. Take the first film, for example. Brian's Eclipse takes some serious damage in that early race, from a blown piston to the floor pan flying off, you name it. But somehow, just a few scenes later, in that same exact car, he's outrunning cops like it was fresh off the lot. It's like the Blues Brothers. But the vehicular miracles just escalate across the franchise from there. So much so that we've all kind of accepted that Fast and Furious has left realism behind long ago. But cars jumping between Dubai skyscrapers or tanks that outrun jets, it's like the laws of physics took a vacation. Dom's Charger alone has survived so many ridiculous stunts, it may as well be a Marvel character at this point. It's not just about how well the vehicles can survive throughout the franchise, but it's how often and how quickly they can change looks, structure, and build. Next time you're in a more nostalgic mood and want to watch a Fast and Furious movie, keep your eye out for all the goofs that made it through the edit. The truck hijacking scene that kicks off the franchise is legendary, but there are a few problems with it. Firstly, for all you health and safety nuts out there, the electronics company really didn't think about tying down the electronics in the truck. The boxes are just stacked loose in the back with no straps, no saran wrap, no sticky tape, whatever the thing is, none of that. Anybody who's worked in logistics understands that this is clearly a disaster. Not even bubble wrap, that's going to lead to a lot of very unhappy customers. But beyond that, eagle-eye fans notice that the truck's axis actually changes between shots, and support beams vanish. It's not a huge change, but it does break continuity. They went through all this trouble to do these amazing practical stunts, but kinda got lost in the detail. It's no different with the cop chases either. Take a look at the Dom escape scene in the first movie. Whenever you see cop cars chasing him, notice the chameleon-like powers. They magically change make and models in the middle of the scene, from a Ford Crown Vic to a Chevy Capri. Either the LAPD has some pretty fast swap outs, or the editing room didn't think we would notice. We did. And it's not just the laws of physics that the Fast and Furious franchise plays with, it's time. FBI agent Alinas having Dom's baby in Fate of the Furious becomes a major plot point. But let's check the numbers. She was in combat situations for months. How did no one notice that she was pregnant? And when she was pregnant, was she carrying the child when she was blown out of the building by Deckard? This math barely works. It's one of those plot twists that sound emotional until you try and piece it together, and then it just totally collapses. That's right, still with the vehicle weirdness. Take Ciphers' giant plane in Fate of the Furious, for example. Yeah, it's cool, but how is it existing? Think about it. It never lands, it never refuels, and is constantly just floating in the sky with people living on it. Is it solar powered? Does it get refueled in the air? We never find out. Just bad guys have like NASA level budgets now. And while this isn't technically about a vehicle, it's vehicle adjacent. That plane chase sequence in Fast and Furious 6 takes forever. It's literally 12 minutes of a high-speed plane and car chase on a runway. That would have to make that runway at least 20 miles long. There's suspension of disbelief, and then there's, did they really build a runway halfway across the world? Levels of unrealistic. Sure, it's an action movie. Biological laws don't have to exist. Bullets can disappear in people's bodies, secret babies can be revealed without any real pregnancy timeline, and you can walk away with your back to an explosion without so much as a scratch on you. But achieving death seems just a wee bit too far. Let's start with Han from Tokyo Drift. His death scene was a major moment in that movie. But surprise, he's alive in Fast 9. The movie hand waves it away by saying it was a fake death and he was pulled away at the last second by Mr. Nobody, but come on. Come on. This stretch in logic just feels like they were so desperate to bring him back. Something similar happened with Letty in the 2009 quasi-reboot. Dom's girlfriend Letty, played by Michelle Rodriguez, dies in a car crash off-screen. But that doesn't stop her. Oh no. In Fast and Furious 6, Letty returns with her death being totally written off as her surviving the crash, but she does have amnesia. That's all the explanation we get. Then there's Giselle's return from the dead. Her reappearance in Fast X raised a lot of eyebrows. Last time we saw her, she was falling off of a plane midway through takeoff. She had no parachute, and there was definitively no last-minute save. Now she's back with barely a line of explanation. Seems like falling off planes is just one of those small incidental things in this universe. There's no reason that people can't learn new skills or even train for a new job role. But when there's no explanation of when or why this happened, it can be a bit jarring. Tej is a great example of this. He starts as the garage-running mechanic in Too Fast, Too Furious. But in the later movies, he's basically the team's version of a black hat. He's hijacking satellites and cracking code like it's a video game on easy mode. It's great to have a skilled hacker on the crew to help him out with the jobs and missions, but a lot of the hacking just seems beyond impossible. But how did he get these powers? Did we miss a spinoff? Did he pick up a few online coding classes and then figure out that he had the same computing skills as Bill Gates? And then there's Deckard Shaw becoming one of Dom's BFFs. It seems extremely benevolent of Dom to bring Shaw in as one of his most trusted allies in Fate of the Furious, when he found out in Fast and Furious 6 that he killed Han, and in 7 they were all trying to get him. Sure, Dom is all about family.
I don't have friends. I got family.
And Deckard did save his kid, but that's like your best friend's killer getting an invite to Thanksgiving. Though, we have talked about a few editing and dialogue goofs alongside plot holes. There are a few more standout moments that somehow detoured the editing room floor and made their way to the big screen. With a franchise that is all action, cars, and fights, there's a lot of jargon that needs to be added into the dialogue. But with that comes some less than knowledgeable dialogue. In Fate of the Furious, a pilot says that he's flying at Angles 5, which is military speak for 5,000 feet. But the chopper's clearly just above buildings. The right term for this height is actually Shrubs 5, which means 500 feet. It's a small thing, but in a world focused on badass vehicles and experts who can control them, you would think someone would get that right. And if you think we're being a little unfair with that criticism, what about when we're talking about the cars? In the very first Fast and Furious movie, Dom tells Brian that he's not double clutching as he should during the street race.
Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should.
Sounds cool, but it's wrong. Double clutching is actually used for old trucks and classic manual cars, not modern drag cars. And it's not just Dom. In the same movie, Brian brags that Hector bought a Motec exhaust system for the Civics. But there's one big problem with that. Motec doesn't build exhaust systems. They're a reputable company known for producing high-performance engine management and data acquisition systems, such as electronic control units and digital displays. Car fans definitely caught this one. And it's a pretty embarrassing mix-up when your movie is centered around drag car culture. Again, next time you're watching the first movie, watch when Brian is chasing Johnny Tran's crew. Look very closely at the balcony. Yep, that's clearly a cameraman visible. Not a reflection, not a shadow, just a guy with a camera. It's a blink and you miss it moment, but once you do notice it, it forever takes you out of the scene. So yeah, Fast and Furious isn't exactly known for having airtight logic or explaining the sudden plot twists. But hey, that's kind of part of the charm, right? It's not here to make groundbreaking cinema. It's here to help us escape with over-the-top action and wild twists, even if things don't really add up. Thank you for watching. And as always, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more breakdowns from your favorite franchises. See you next time.